Welcome to the Green Tea Bakery. I'm your host, Christine, and in this Green Light Path series, I interview entrepreneurs, creatives, and overall ambitious people about their dreams and goals, to then interview them again in 3 years and see the progress. Stay tuned to see the journey unfold. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Green Tea Bakery. I'm your host, Christine, and today I'm here with someone who takes adventure and travel to the next level, who hitchhiked from Indonesia to France, shared her journey online, and is now getting ready for her next adventure. Everyone, welcome. It's Cam, also known as Adventure with Cam. Very, very you. Very perfect. Welcome. I'm very excited to hear your story, hear everything that you have to share, and share it with the world. So, as a little warm-up question, what is something that brought you joy particularly today?
So today, I would just say probably when swimming with my dad, like training. I'm currently training for a triathlon. So after a big trip, it's nice to enjoy time with family. It's been a long time that I haven't been home. So yeah, spending time with loved ones while pushing your physical and mental limits is pretty cool, I think.
I'm going to ask you more about the triathlon and your next big thing, but it's really beautiful, and it's amazing that, yes, combining spending time with family, but also pushing yourself and like still developing. So you're not just home to your old self, like you're a new self in a way, that you're
I think that's
developing.
also a good way to go back after a big trip. Like if you just started working and not doing anything you love or whatever, like or not having those kind of adrenaline rush, you can easily have a like post travel blues or whatever.
That's true. I think it's such a big thing that after any big adventure, like people have that if they go on a 2-week vacation and go back to work, like you've been away for over a year. So exactly, I think it's really cool that you get to smooth yourself in while doing something you really love. So let's go and decompose, look into your story and into you as a person. So what is the earliest context from your life that defines you the most today?
I think it was a trip I've done in Thailand with my family, because that's the moment where I was like, okay, that's what I want to do in my life. I was bullied in school and I had OCD, whatever. And I've done this trip and I was like, not everyone is like dumb and mean, and like there's people who actually like are nice and are not insulting me. So I was like, that's so cool, the different cultures and everything. And when I came back home, I told my mom at 18, I'll leave. And she was like, yeah, sure. 18 in a week, I was in a plane for Australia. Didn't wait.
Amazing. Honestly, I can relate to this so much. The day I turned 18, next day I also left. I was like, okay, bye. And actually, I think getting away from home and realizing that not everyone is like mean or whatever in general the same way that people are in the place in school and your environment, and really opening up to the world and being like, wow, like there's so much out there. I think that's really beautiful. And it's really beautiful that you got to have that early and realize, okay, there's a world waiting for me. I don't have to stay here.
There's so many people who wait like to be like in their 30s or even like 25, 26 to be able to do that and to be like, oh, I can do that. I can like discover the world and everything. And it's good that they discover it. Some people never do. But I think it's truly life-changing, so empowering, and you start to build trust in yourself. And it's so good. Where did you left when you were 18?
Yeah, so I lived in Russia before, and I left to go to London and then go to the US because I did start studying, so I did take more of like a traditional path until then. But still, I was very nervous but also excited. It felt like the world just opened, and the fact that, I don't know, it's so much easier. Well, back then it was still Europe, the UK, but it was the fact that it's so easy to move around. I feel like that was a smoothing into like traveling within Europe and seeing that, okay, this is possible. Because yeah, like growing up in Russia, like I couldn't just take a weekend trip somewhere into Europe. It's further.
Just a little few kilometers away.
Yeah, a little bit more on the more east a little bit. After that first trip to Thailand that you took, did you always like traveling and adventure? Or maybe also before that, like was travel and adventure something that within your family maybe, or just within you? Like was that always some big component of yourself?
So I always grew up with TV shows that had a lot of adventures, like Hitchhiking. A lot of Hitchhiking, actually, TV shows that I loved. Into the Wild and My Corn, everything. I grew up with that. But my parents weren't that adventurous, even though they were doing a lot of sports. Like my dad was a triathlete back in the days. Actually, they were always like going on little adventures, but not on big treks or big travels and everything. They actually started more when I did, like because they were following me to locations, like to visit for like 2 weeks, and they started really liking it and started doing more and more by themselves. But yeah, other than that, so I traveled to Thailand with them, and after I just it just became my whole personality. Yeah, and for like more the adventure part, if we'd like to call it that way, yeah, when I was 15, I got introduced to like the outdoors thanks to my first love, and he taught me like everything about camping or climbing and lots of things, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, and I really, I really started doing outdoors. Yeah, when I was 15, more or less.
You already mentioned that school wasn't your most excited part. So being there, like how was that for you? Also, you grew up in the south of France, right? That's where you're from originally.
So I grew up in Alsace, which is northeast, and at 7 I went near Marseille.
Being in school, where again you said you didn't really feel comfortable. People were mean. What did it do to you? Like,
So at first I was a really shy kid who didn't have any confidence in herself. I had OCD, which was like pretty intense. I felt really lonely and everything, even though I had like 2, 3 friends here and there. So yeah, it just, at first I wasn't being like, oh, they're mean to me, I'm gonna show them what I got. Hell no. I was like, yeah, to be honest, I had dark thoughts and everything. And then, yeah, it all changed when I met my first love and a really nice group of friends who introduced me to the outdoors when I discovered traveling. I was like, okay, life might be worth living. And yeah, so after that, I was like, okay, fuck them, I'm gonna do my thing. But for a while, I was just like, that's not good. And it's only really when I left France that I started being happy and liking myself a little bit more. Well, maybe not liking, but accepting myself a little bit more and doing things I truly love and everything like that.
yeah, it takes a few really kind people to help you and show you the path that everything might really change.
I had 2 really important people in my life. One girl who showed me that when someone speaks bad to you, you can answer and you can scream. You can scream at them if you need to. And the other one was like my first love, who helped me get rid of OCD. He introduced me to so many things. He's still in my life right now, and he's a really important person because he gave me so much. And
how I discovered on Instagram, like the viral video where you were screaming at people for stealing your money at the massage place. That's probably came from the girl teaching you how to actually fight for yourself if someone is being mean. And also really beautiful that the first love that you had is still in your life, and it's someone who really helped you come clear with yourself and feel comfortable, and as you said, just accept. Like, first step of just accept and be fine with yourself. You said when you turned 18, a week later, you were off to Australia. So what was that about? Why did you decide to move to Australia? What were you going to do there? What was this first big move?
So I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So I was like, okay, I got my diploma, French diploma, baccalaureate. So I can do whatever I want. So, but my parents were like, okay, you need to study and everything. So I was like, okay, we got a deal. So for 4 months, I needed to be an au pair and study English. And after that, for the rest of the year, they didn't have a thing to say about how I was traveling and where I was traveling. That was a deal. So they actually helped me go to Australia. They found an au pair thing or whatever, otherwise I would have just gone like that. And so yeah, this was the first step. So in the end, I've done the 4 au pair and learning English a month. And after that, I just traveled 1 month because I was hitchhiking and always sleeping in my tent. And yeah, it was tricky. Like I met like some not so funny men, as always, unfortunately. And also, I was just moving every day, hitchhiking every day. I was like not stopping. And then I was like, okay, travel is not for me because right now I'm too tired and everything. And I was like, now looking back at it, I'm like, no, you were just dumb for like moving every single day. But yeah, back then I was like, okay, it's not normal that I'm not able to do that. Like,
yeah, I mean, moving every day, that's a lot.
that's hell. That's hell. I would never do it again. You can't see anything.
And after that, how did you get from Australia to Canada? What happened in between?
So when I was in Australia, I was actually applying to a school in Quebec. So after I was done with Australia, I went back to France for a few months, and then I moved straight away to Quebec, high in the north, and I went there to study wildlife management. So that's what I did for 3 years. When I was done, I bought a van and just went like all over Quebec to do seasonal work, and then I moved on the other side of Canada to do other seasonal jobs, and then we're here.
And how was that for you? Because as you said, like after Australia, you thought, okay, I'm not a traveler. Like this is not for me. So how did? But I guess you were always interested. You were saying very outdoorsy, very into those things. So I guess wildlife management, very very fit what you enjoy doing. So how did you decide after that to live the van life?
Because for me, van life wasn't traveling; it was just living a normal life, but in a camper van. And like when I asked my mom a few times, like, "Hey, when did I started talking about having a van for the first time?" And she was like, "Oh gosh, I don't even remember." Like I've been talking about this for ages, and even now that I'm back from hitchhiking, I want so bad to be back in a van. To be honest, it's not the moment right now, but I know I'm gonna live in a van again. I love this lifestyle. Gives you so much freedom, especially being a seasonal worker. You can do like whatever. And basically, when I finished my studies, I knew I wanted to travel, but then there was like COVID and everything. As a seasonal worker, it's sometimes hard to find a job just because you don't have a place to stay. So I was like, I don't want my apartment or the place I stay to define my job. I rather find a job and then a place to stay. So I was like, van life is the best way to do it. Like that, they can never tell me, oh, we don't have any space. I'm like, I got my van. So that was also the idea.
Do you have a parking space? If you have parking space, I have my van. No need.
Even if you don't, you've got a forest. I got a place.
Just give me the job. The rest is fine. So, what was your biggest learning from that chapter of your life of moving to Canada?
I don't know if I would call that a learning, but it was just the first time in my life I was feeling accepted and feeling like there was other people like me who were liking the same stuff as me, and I wasn't like just the weird girl dreaming about stuff and wanting to like climbing trees. As humans, we are made to be a pack, so I just kind of found my pack there, and it felt really good. And thanks to that, you also accepting yourself more, and I think that when you start doing things that you love and being kind of good at it, you also start to like yourself more, not in a like weird way, but just being like, pretty cool what I've done, cool. I'm not that dumb or that whatever the people told you were. So yeah.
I feel like also if you realize that the things that you enjoy can actually be what you do in life, I think it's also really empowering to realize, okay, I can get really good at this outdoor life, live like that, and have other people who do the same thing. Like, that's so cool. What was your most special memory from the different seasonal works that you did?
It's actually this one. Basically, it's one of my first real job, and it was a guiding job, rock climbing, kayaking, via ferrata, zip lining, all kind of stuff. The two boss were like the first who really gave me my chance, I feel like, because I didn't have any legal stuff to do that job. They were just like, okay, we'll teach you everything. And I was like, oh wow. And yeah, I think that I wouldn't have discovered the guiding job without them, because they actually found me at the school because I was climbing and everything. So yeah, I would say that job, because it's not a job. It's like just adults being in a camp, having fun and teaching other adults how to do stuff and being paid for it. Like it was just so awesome. And yeah, we really all like with the boss, but also with each other, with between the guides, we all created a really nice place and feeling and sense of family, kind of. Yeah, I miss them a lot.
That's so beautiful. Are you thinking of going back?
I will go back for sure. When, I don't know. And I know I'll go back working there as well. Maybe doing some group trips. Who knows? I actually saw the two buses in Paris a few days ago, because they were there, and they were like, oh yeah, if you want to come. I was like, I know, I will one day.
Honestly, those people who believe in someone early on and just let you in, they're so pivotal and so important. And yeah, it's very beautiful to have those amazing people who actually trust you and take you in. And honestly, I love it. I feel like it's so interesting because I know one other person from Canada, from Quebec, who studied also something like around like wildlife management and so on. I find it so beautiful that there is like such a big community for this, and then there is such a big people who actually fully, like dedicate themselves to wildlife work and living and helping others and teaching. And I feel like that's really, really cool. And I think I guess it makes sense because there's so much nature and so much possibilities to do this, but I haven't really heard people do this before. So I think it's really, really cool. So were you looking particularly for Canada to go, or you were just looking for something like that to do and then you found the Canadian program?
So basically, I didn't know what job I wanted to do, so I was like, okay, I'm going to try to find studies that I like. And my first love, again, told me about this because he wanted to do this, but he hasn't been accepted. So yeah, it's thanks to him that I found this, and I was like, okay, that looks pretty cool. Plus, I wanted to do studies abroad, but I wasn't feeling confident in English at the time to do it in English. So Quebec was like the perfect spot.
It's the language, but also the things that you enjoy doing, like being a wildlife paradise, like nature, unlimited nature.
It was perfect.
That
And
is really,
yes,
really cool.
I love it even more. And as you talked about, there's a big community of outdoorsy people in Canada, like so many, and that's why it's so easy to find people to do things with. And that's kind of what I'm scared of in France. I'm like, where are my weirdos who likes to be in nature and like do things like this? I feel like it's harder to find, and I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but in France people are more competitive. As in Canada, people are just like, hey, like, you wanna come join and have a drink? Like, it's so easy to make friends there.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe if you go to more of those like places in France, like the people will be there, like the ones that you meet there, they're the outdoorsy ones. Yeah, probably like, yeah, in cities and places, they're just have other priorities to
Yeah,
focus
yeah.
on.
That's exactly why I started like I bought a membership for a rock climbing gym because I was like, that's where my people are. That's where I'm gonna find cool people and make new friends.
Amazing. Yeah, that's like always, like do the things that you want to do and the people will come. You'll see them there. Your big trip that you did this past year, how did you decide to hitchhike from Indonesia to France? I feel like it's not your go-to route that people take or that is known for. Like, how did you decide to do this?
There's more people than we think that hitchhike from Europe to Asia. I met a few. Like there's a lot. But it's once you get into it that you're like, oh wow, there's a community actually of people doing this and it's so cool. But basically, I hate to say that because I feel like so many things in my life are related to men. But um, so my ex, not the other guy, but a new guy, my recent ex, and I was supposed to go in Southeast Asia, and then we broke up. And I was like, okay, but I still want to go in Southeast Asia. And I was like, I want to see my family back in France too. And I was like, okay, I don't want to take a plane like from Canada to Indonesia to there. I was like, I'll take one and I'll hitchhike the rest. And that's how it happened. I was actually crying in my hotel room because I was just becoming single again. I was like, oh my god, and I was just like, oh, I could do this. I called my best friend. I was like, girl, I'm doing that. She's like, wait. Think a little. You're sad right now? Think a little bit. I was like, no, I think I'm doing it. She was like, okay, fine. And yeah, that's how it ended up.
I love this. Feeling like, like an emotional decision of what am I going to do? You know what? I'm going to hitchhike. It's really cool that you actually were like, okay, no, but I'm going to do this. This is doable. This is exciting.
I said it to her and I was like, okay, I cannot go back now. I've always wanted to go on a big adventure. I've been dreaming it. I've been dreaming about it for years. So I was like, it's now or never. Like, I'm not gonna put it back again and again. I was not having a cool job at the time. I was single again. I had no plans. I was like, okay, I need to do that. So I just started working my ass off to make cash and but the plane ticket. And once you have the plane ticket, it's the biggest step. You're like, okay, now I need to go. Like I haven't spent like hundreds of dollars for nothing.
Exactly. And how long was the time between you crying and calling your best friend saying I'm going to do it to you actually leaving?
Okay, so that was in June and I left in November, so Juin, juillet, août, septembre, no, October. No. So 7 months.
And that time you were just focusing on like earning, so you have the money to do the trip, right? That was your
Yeah,
biggest focus at that time.
because anyway, like the seasonal work, it's more or less that time, and it's the moment you can really make money. Plus, I was kind of just coming back from another trip with my ex, so I didn't have a lot of money left. I was like, okay, I need to work now to have enough. And I was like, I don't care how much I have. I will go. I'll work it out, but I'm gonna like try to make as much as I can.
What you feel like was your highlight of it in general? Also, if you want to say maybe the countries you went through for people who haven't followed your entire journey. You started in Indonesia.
I
Where
started
did you
in
go then?
Indonesia. Then I went to Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. So a lot of Southeast Asia. That's where like the parties and a lot of peoples are. And then I went through China and Tibet, Nepal, India, which wasn't the plan actually. At first I was supposed to go north to Mongolia, but then I had the possibility of hosting a group trip in India, so I changed all my plans because of that. And then Pakistan, China again, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan again, Russia, Georgia, Turkey. And from Turkey, from Istanbul to Marseille, I took like 3 days. I really hitchhiked like really fast. I went through Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia, and another country that I don't remember. Wait, I need a
You
map.
were really fast. At that point, you were so fast that you didn't even remember.
I don't even say that I went to these countries because I haven't seen a thing.
How did you find like the people to hitchhike? So you have your route, but as you said, you were very flexible. Like if there's another trip you wanted to change, but for example, you're in point A and you want to get to point B. Like how do you choose the car to get into? First of all, where you feel decently safe, plus where they're going your direction.
I choose the car that stopped, basically. I don't think I ever refused a car on this trip. Sometimes I was like, okay, now you drop me. But yeah, I haven't refused a car unless they were going on the wrong way, but doesn't happen most of the time. So yeah, you just choose the one that stops, and if you don't feel like you can trust that person, you have a bad feeling, don't go in it. But otherwise, yeah. And most of the time it's fine, to be honest. Most of the time.
From the trip, what was your highlight? Like what was your favorite memory? Guess there are a lot. Like one that sticks out particularly.
To be honest, I think it's more like people than actual like memories. Mostly travelers, because even though I met amazing locals, it's more difficult to connect with locals because of the language barrier, also the culture. So it's more complicated. Like locals won't obviously spend a long time with them, where with travelers you can like follow each other's. So yeah, I would say mostly travelers. That sticks out. Yeah, it's more about the people than the place, I think, most of the time.
And I feel like whenever you go on a trip alone somewhere, hostels are the main point for making the most amazing connections with people. I feel like it's mostly people, not the place. Yes, places could be beautiful and amazing, but it's the people who you talk to, you meet, who actually make this memory in this place special to you.
Yeah, exactly.
What was your lowest point? Something that you're willing to share?
I think it was at the start of the trip, actually. I was like 1 month in, a month and a half in Indonesia, and I hitchhiked a motorbike, and he dropped me to a place where I could put my tent on King Kong Hill, which is a really famous place in Indonesia. And basically, to make it fast, the guy wouldn't leave me alone. He would ask me for a kiss, ask me for money and everything. And at first I was like, okay, if I need to punch him in the face, I can win. Like he's not that tough. But then he was like, okay, don't move, I'll bring some friends. And I was like, oh, that's shit now. And it was like, I don't know, it was dark. I was pretty far from the city. So I just he left. I packed everything and I ran down. There was like a homestay like 5 minutes away. And I just went to the woman and I was like, help. I started crying and I explained everything on my phone. Like at first I was just like, I need a place. Like, do you have a room do you have a free room? There's someone following me. And so they brought me to the room, and at the end, they don't even wanted me to pay and everything. They called the police. They really helped me out. We found the guy because I had like a 7 long minutes video that I took because I was like, it's gonna be what he say against what I say, so I need proof. But yeah, it was a bad idea, but it became a good story. So now I have a story to tell. It's pretty cool. But yeah, at the moment I was like, oh shit, and I'm gonna do that like for a year through like thousands of countries. But yeah, in the end, I hitchhiked a lot before this trip. So I wasn't like, oh, this is because of hitchhiking. I was like, that's because I'm dumb and I didn't listen to myself. That's it.
And also so good that you had the kind woman in the homestay who really took this seriously and, like, called the police,
Yeah.
helped you get you a room. And I feel like in every situation like that, it's beautiful if there's someone to help. So what do you feel like? I mean, I guess now you probably like recording the video and stuff like that. Like now you probably collected tools on how to help yourself in those situations. So I don't know, especially for any other woman traveling by herself, what do you feel like are like top tips on how to, even if you get in a comfortable situation, to like how to protect yourself, how to get out of this, like such as, for example, recording the video? What else would you give as like an advice to stay safe?
So yeah, recording a video can be nice just because you have a proof if something goes bad. Otherwise, on the moment, I would just say speak for yourself. Like, don't hold back being like, oh, what if I speak up and he's gonna be worse? Most of the time, if you speak up, they will be like, oh shit, she can like defend herself, so I'm not gonna say anything else. But if you shut up and be like, oh no, sorry, stop, please, they will not. You need to like, yeah, you need to stand up for yourself, basically, and trust your instinct. It seems so dumb, and when you haven't experienced it, you're like, what the fuck is instinct? But you'll feel it. Like, sometimes it's your head that's talk, and sometimes it's your belly, and when it's your belly, it's not good.
For sure, for sure. I feel like for a lot of people, it's like in a stressful situation like that, you just shut up. Like for some people, it's like intuitive to be very loud and protective, and for a lot of people, it's like you close off basically completely. But in order to protect yourself, you need to be loud. It's like with animals, like the one who makes themselves look the biggest and the most dangerous, they're gonna be left alone.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's sad to say, but I met that girl in Pakistan, and basically she was hitchhiking, and she was not always hitchhiking, but that time. And one day, a friend of her explained to me that in Pakistan, actually, where I didn't had any troubles, this girl, there was a guy who picked her up, and he was like, "Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, this, oh that." The girl wasn't covering herself either, so I was like, "Cover yourself. It's gonna help next time." Unfortunately, so yeah, he was like complimenting her and everything, and she was like, "Thank you." Like, like she wasn't being like, "Oh, I'm not interested." And then the guy started holding her hand, and she froze. So instead of talking back, she just froze and couldn't say anything. And in the end, he started touching himself with his hand, in like while holding her hand. And so I was like, okay, these girls either need to like stand up for yourself and being able to do that, or she needs to stop hitchhiking, because hitchhiking is not for everyone. Everyone can do it, but not everyone can do it safely and enjoy it. You need to be careful with that.
I feel like also it's a very big cultural thing. I talked with a friend about this recently, how in some cultures people are just so direct. They don't know communication wise, and they take, if someone is not saying anything, like, okay, let's go. It's important to, especially then, important to be as direct as they are and be like, no, I'm not interested. Goodbye. Leave me alone.
And I've also talked with a woman who actually immigrated in Indonesia, and we talked about it, and I think it applies to a lot of countries in Asia, maybe other part of the world, but I don't know. I haven't experienced it. But basically, they see white people as people who sleep easier with each other, even if they're not married, which is true. But they don't get that we still need to have a feeling. So they are like, if I ask her and I insist, she will end up saying yes because she's white. And that's a big problem as well.
From this entire trip, what was your biggest takeaway?
I think that I've learned a lot of things that I didn't realize that I've learned already. Because to be totally honest, I feel more at peace now than I've ever been before. I don't know really why or whatever, but Yeah, I think I haven't been that peaceful ever. The biggest lesson was to listen to myself in a way that if I want to stop and not do anything for days, even if there's a whole country to explore, do it. You better see less, but enjoy it more than just be like, oh yeah, and just cross things off. At least it's in the end you won't remember this. I have so many good memories from Nimbin where I stayed a week doing nothing, going to the gym and just editing and having my little breakfast that the grandma was preparing every day. And by the end of the week, she knew that I was never eating the yogurt. So she was taking out the yogurt and putting more fruits. Those little things, I remember it more than just crossing things off a bucket list. And it feels good when you travel and you're like, oh wow, she pays attention and she knows. It just feels so good when you travel. So yeah, listening to myself, I think.
That is probably the biggest lesson ever. And also, I agree. I feel like it's so special and beautiful when strangers start to remembering your habits. You like yogurt, have the more fruits instead and stuff like that. And it's really beautiful. And I feel like the connection with yourself, that's probably why you're so at peace right now, because probably you became really, really close with yourself and really close with your needs, with what you like, what you don't like, yourself as a person. Probably it was a very big, like personality strengthening and self-trust. As you were saying, also you were speaking about intuition before, right? That intuition is such a big thing. You really need to listen to your intuition and just know what is good, what is not. Having that lesson, all the decisions you'll be taking in life right now will be much more in tune with yourself. It's not just, oh, because it looks good or someone said it, oh, do I want it, do I not want it? You know, because you learn how to listen to yourself. And that's a beautiful, beautiful lesson.
I think it's one of the best you can learn in life. And also, like, I realized it might be not the biggest things I've learned, but I've realized how lucky we are to live in countries with high currency and good health insurance, good passport. It's something that you know. I think in life there's a lot of things that you know, but you truly realize it only when you experience it or you see it. And yeah, I would say that impacted me too.
You started sharing your trip on social media, and that's how also your account grew very much, and attracted a lot of people who were following your journey. So how did you decide to do that? Did you share where you did you share a lot before? Or how did you decide to do that?
I wasn't documenting my life. I was actually hating cameras, but I started an Instagram account because my ex wanted one, and I liked editing for a while, even if I was really bad at it. um, so I started this, but then I was like, okay, I don't like what we put. I was like, never mind, it's not my thing. And when I started my trip, I came with a big camera, and I was like, okay, I want to do vlogs. So I wasn't sure, but I started taking lots of videos, but not editing them, not touching them. I was like, I don't know what I'll do with that, but I'll start this. So everything I started record a lot on my camera. And then I met this guy in Bali who was like, oh, that's such a cool trip. He was actually editing videos for, I don't remember which influencer. And he was like, okay, daily vlogs really interest people. You should start that and everything. I was like, oh yeah, maybe. Not sure. So I started recording every day, but still not editing, still not posting. So this shit happened with a guy. And the next day, I met three amazing people who were living in the content creator's house in Bali from I don't remember, from Leblanc. And I traveled with them for a few days, and they were like, okay, you need to do it like that. Solo hitchhiking from Indonesia to France, solo woman. It's gonna work, man. You should do this, that. They were like, okay, if you have all the plans and you like editing, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, okay, cool. So after that, I started editing a bit. And so that's why I'm 2 months late in my vlog. It's because I actually started posting only 2 months after I started the trip. To be honest, I don't know if there would have been an account without them, because I probably would have stopped filming at the moment. I thought about stopping when I was in Malaysia, because it's been like through 3 months I was posting, I think, and I had like 300 followers, and I had another account with like tips about outdoors and everything. And I was like, oh, this takes too much time. Nobody liked the daily vlogs. I'm gonna stop it. And the night I say that, I had like 3 videos who blew up, and from then in 1 week I went from like 300 to like 50K, and I was like, okay, I'll continue.
So it was 3 months of like daily vlogs.
Like 2 videos a day. Yeah, 2 videos a day, not working, and then one video blew up, the next one in a few hours later, and I was like, I know this one can work, so I pinned it, and it blew up as well. And yeah, after it worked. And after it was baby steps.
It's a very good example of being consistent and just consistently, you know, like showing up, doing, and it works. Was it intuitive to record, and did you have to adjust to filming and editing your life, like adjust your travel or your trip, your how you spent your time?
Yeah, it definitely impacted the trip, but for the best, I think. At least for me. I know for some people it wouldn't be nice, but for me, um, I wouldn't be able to slow down and like spend days scrolling on my phone or whatever. So editing really allowed me to like sit at coffee shops and do something that I could still found productive, even if my body was resting. So I think it actually helped me a lot, and I don't know if I would have been able to really enjoy the trip as much if I wasn't editing it. And for the filming, it wasn't I wouldn't say it wasn't tricky, but it was still pretty easy, because if you really pay attention to my videos, you'll see that I'm not setting up a big thing. I'm not like trying to be pretty and everything. So it wasn't like I was just taking the phone, 2 3 seconds videos, and that's it. That's also why I don't show a lot of interactions with locals most of the time, because these moments are mine. And even if their story is worth to be shared, I was not here to be like, okay, talk with me, like, and holding the camera. So yeah, there's a lot of moments that nobody else will see than me, and it's also, I think, important. So I don't feel like it changed my trip too much on that side, on the filming side.
Actually, it's really beautiful how you say that some moments are yours. Like some moments no one has to see. You're not gonna be like, okay, tell me your story. Even though if someone has a probably super interesting story, like you can tell it afterwards. But the clips that you record are just, you know, little snippets for you to remember. And probably also, since you have, as you were saying, like instead of just scrolling on your phone and watching something, like you were editing videos. In a way, it's more like mindful traveling because you're reviewing your trip, especially if it's like 2 months late. Like you have to. Do you remember what happened that day, or do you take notes like this is what happened, or like when you see the video footage you're like, I remember?
Yeah, I see the video footage and I remember.
What advice do you have for young people who want to travel the world but they feel like they don't have enough money, they don't have enough time, you know, there are things that come up as reasons, and someone who looks at your trip and is like, wow, like I would love to do that. What do you suggest? Like how can they just do it?
So for the time, it's gonna be really short. The time is yours. It's you that decide what you do. There's nothing to change or whatever. It's just your decision. So time is your decision. That's it. Then for the money, so you can either, depending on the country you are in and what you want, you can either work your ass off for months and then leave, or there's things like the working holiday visa in a lot of countries where you can work and travel. There's also like that au pair thing. You can volunteer in some places. So if you have still a budget, you can go and travel for a lower cost because you volunteer. So you work in exchange for a free room, sometimes free meals. It's really good. So I would say these are the options. I could also be like, oh yeah, become a content creator and whatever, but I will not, only because even though I have a big following, I still don't live from it. So I don't know. There's a lot of people who do it. There's UGC. There's probably a lot of possibilities online, but I don't know it, and so I don't want to recommend it. But yeah, for like normal people like me, I would say volunteering, or working your ass off, and working holiday visa.
Also, sometimes you think you need a certain amount before you can go, but also realizing that, yes, of course, a certain amount is good to have a safety for yourself, but also you can always find excuses. Again, the time is yours, as you said. Just do it, and you can find a solution as you go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's nice to have some money. Always try to keep enough for the plane ticket in case you really need it. And yeah, depend how you can travel with really little money, depending of how comfortable you want your trip to be. For example, I know people who travel like $6 a day, like Hitchhiking Diaries. They travel 2 years and it was like $6 a day. But you camp, you don't shower every night, you eat random food, sometimes like just plain bread. Depends how much you want it and what type of travel you want. But otherwise, a good middle, I think, is to have some money and volunteer.
That's a very big realization once you start traveling more, to see that you can stay in a 5-star resort, take a luxurious transportation from one point to one point, or you can literally live on $6 a day, probably in some places even less, where you just eat plain bread and you find solutions and you volunteer and stuff like that. So it's possible. It's just about like what type of trip do you want? And I think it's also, for me, was very like expanding my mindset when I traveled around Central America and talked to a lot of people and hearing different stories, like somebody who is like 36 and has been doing this for like 15 years, or someone who is like in their early 20s and exactly has like a few dollars in their bank account and they're fine. Like they're happy. They're so happy to do this. They don't care. Or someone else who's just there on a vacation for a week because they have their job somewhere in Europe or in the US, they have to go back. So just realizing there's so many different lives and there's so many ways of getting to the same traveling overall category. So it's about what you want to do.
Yeah, I always say there's as many ways to travel as there are travelers. No one like travel the same way. You just need to make your own.
And if people do want to start growing their accounts and like in general just like sharing their journey online, do you have any advice for people how they can grow their accounts doing what they love? So maybe it's traveling, maybe crocheting, cooking, whatever. How do people grow their accounts sharing their true passions?
I think for me, my biggest thing would be authentic. And when I say authentic, I mean just be yourself. Show your flaws. Show what you're scared of. Show like that you're not perfect, and so people can recognize themselves in you, and you're not like that type of like god thing. That's not what social media is for anymore. I think, even though like there's still accounts like this that are amazing and everything, but yeah, I think nowadays people want to see authentic content, and even if you suck at filming or editing, still do it. You'll learn on the way and you'll get better. If you want to see how bad I was, just look at my first videos and I want to cry when I see them. It's awful, really. But I've learned because I kept posting and now I've done like 700 videos. So that's why it's better, because I kept doing it. But yeah, be authentic. Don't judge yourself. Just post. And if you're scared of family or friends, just know that I created my account and the first 2 hours I spent it blocking everyone I was knowing, everyone I knew on Instagram. And then I started posting. So you can do the same. And I have plenty of friends who still don't know that I do this. Plenty. Because they're blocked and they will stay blocked. Even though I know they wouldn't judge me or whatever, but I'm like, that's my little secret garden that is not so secret.
Don't be ashamed to block people. Like same, I also block people where I'm like, I just don't. Please, if that's gonna make you feel more free and authentic and comfortable, please do it. No one cares. They'll survive. Even if they found out you blocked them, they'll survive. It's okay. How do you combine the creative, like fun travel, like all those components that are very change a lot, it's very flexible and so on, with organization structure and, for example, like, I don't know, the taking care of yourself, knowing when you need to slow down, like sitting down, okay, now it's my editing time. Like, how do you combine the like, yay, travel with the, okay, organization part? Because I feel like for a lot of people, I feel like including myself, when I travel, it's very difficult to stay on top of things, still get things done. So what's your approach to this?
I think it comes from listening to yourself again. Because like I just sometimes when I feel down, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna slow down, and I'm like, okay, since I want to slow down, it's a good time to edit as well. And otherwise, sometimes when I see that I almost don't have any videos left, I'm like, okay, I need to stop today to make some videos. I leave tomorrow, but like the earth will not disappear in a day. So, and it forces me as well to slow down, even if I'm like, okay, that's fine and everything. But I'd never stop myself from doing things because I needed to edit. For example, one time in India, I wanted to go hiking with a friend and I didn't have any daily vlogs left. And I was like, okay, well, there will not be vlogs for 4 days because I'm on a hike. Like, it's, even though I share it with people, it's still my trip. And I will not change my trip because I post on internet. Yeah, I think it's a balance that felt pretty natural to me to find. So I feel lucky because I thought everyone was like me and being like, oh, it's so easy to have the two and everything. But after when I met other content creators who were doing this and traveling, and they were like, okay, this, I don't know, oh my God. And they were like just over the top, like they didn't know how to handle everything. I realized how lucky I was because it felt really easy to me, actually.
Theme keeps coming back of you listening to yourself. You set a rule of having a vlog every day, but no one's gonna die if you don't post it and you focus on yourself. Because if you experience this, you'll have more to share after. You know, like you'll come back happy and excited, learnings after the hike, and you can share that. So, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And like most of the people will not even realize that you haven't posted. Like, or if they do, they will not be like, oh, what the fuck? No, no. They'll just be like, okay. Like you're not their best friend or their family or whatever. You're still just a random person on the internet. I think that's important to remember as well.
Exactly. And if anything, they'll be like, oh, we missed your vlogs. You know, like when you come back, you're like, okay, here you go. There would be
Yeah,
nothing
exactly.
like,
Yeah, I was like, sorry, I was
nothing
on
mean.
track. Bye. Now I have nice vlog to share with you. That's it.
Exactly. So that's also super important. But to get to the next step of the questions I have for you, let's talk about your future vision. So, what are you thinking about? What is your big dream? What do you want to continue on? You said you're practicing now for a triathlon. You are back in France now for some time. And yes, you also shared with me in the emails that you don't know if you're going to be doing, you know, social media forever. You don't know if you decide one day that you don't want to do this anymore. So, but what do you know that this is like so exciting and I would love to do this in the future?
Yeah, obviously I will keep traveling. I have another big trip coming, probably more for 2026 because I need to make money. I need to plan everything, and that's something I will share in in my content as well, like all the preparation and everything. But for now, I'll keep it for myself. Even from the preparation, I'll announce it later. And while waiting for that, I do little side quests. So there's the triathlon, and there's just like connecting with old friends, spending more time with family. I want to get into alpinism, like mountaineering as well. So yeah, just like some random side quests, and I'll probably have to find a job again because, like I said, I don't live off from social media. Um, so yeah, I have some ideas still, but it's not gonna be a random 9 to 5, of course. So yeah, we'll see. And trying to live off from social media at least a little bit, that could be nice. So these are the plans. But yeah, and like I said, yeah, maybe I'll quit social media in 2 days. I never know. For now, I love it. I want to continue it and everything. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll see if I still like it. When I don't like it, I'll stop, and that's it.
Coming from listening to yourself, I also saw that you're planning group trips to do in the summer, right? So, what was that process of that for you?
I hosted my first group trip in India during the trip, and I really loved it. It was really nice, and yeah, you just bring people together, do a nice trek, and let's say it's also nice because I earn money from doing it. So yeah, this summer I have a group trip in Portugal, a surf camp, and the Tour du Mont Blanc trek in France, Switzerland, and Italy, which was a trek that I've always wanted to do. And I was like, I don't feel like hiking it alone, and I don't know if I have any friends who would be up for it. I was just like, okay, let's do a group trip and like go with people as passionate as I am. So that was the mindset behind it. And yeah, the next group trip I think would be mostly treks because that's what people are interested about, and that's also what I love. I would love to do something more original, like a hitchhiking race or something. But with insurance and everything, like you need to find, like, I cannot just be like, oh, let's do it like that. So yeah, it's a process, but we'll see.
And you're organizing everything yourself, right? You're not like working with someone company to organize it. Like it's you.
So basically, I cannot only myself because first I don't know how to serve, and because of the insurance, again, I cannot do it myself. So basically, I don't want to do it with big brands that organize that because usually they ask for so much money than nothing, and they took such a high percentage. So I don't want to do this. So basically, what I do is that I'm finding myself, for example, the surf camp. I searched it on internet. I found one that I like and I pitched to them the ideas and they liked it, so we did it together. Same for the hiking trip. So basically, I found companies that I like and that have good reviews, and I'm like, oh, are you interested in doing this? Basically, that's how it works.
That's really cool. Yeah, I started doing retreats and like trips last year as well. When I found your page, that's what really resonated because I was like, this is so cool, like going in Albania to the mountains and like doing a surf trip. So honestly, it's really, really fun. And I feel like it's becoming also such a big thing, but also such a beautiful thing. I feel like it's so cool to go on a trip with people you don't know, like with strangers.
Yeah.
And then it's fun for the organizers because, you create a trip and you get to go there, but also it's so cool to meet people through experiences like that. Again, going to a place that you would love to do, and then there's someone else who would love to do the same thing, and ta-da, connection made. So that's really cool.
I think that's also such an amazing way to start your trip. If you're scared of going alone, you're like, okay, I'll take one plane ticket. I start with a group trip, and then I'll go on my own. That's what someone did on my India group trip, and it was like the little push he needed. He told me so. He started with that, and then he went for like over a year of like traveling the world alone.
You're in group, you're safe, and then you move on. So that's really beautiful. And yeah, same. I really love group trips. It's really cool. It's a very amazing thing. But now to get to the last part of this interview, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions. And this concept of this podcast works that I would love to do this interview again in like 3 to 5 years and see what you'll be up to. And those questions would be super interesting to review, kind of like a timestamp of how you think right now and what your thoughts are, and then come back. So first question, who inspires you and why?
So many people. First who comes to mind is Eva Zubek, because so she's like a big YouTuber and she inspired me so much when I was in school. I was like, oh, I want to go do these kind of things as well. She's so adventurous, so reckless, so raw. Like I love what she does. When she started following me, I thought I was about to die. Um, but yeah, so otherwise, there's also Sarah Markey, who's an amazing explorator from Switzerland. I grew up reading her books, and she's same. She's like one of the most amazing women on earth. Like she's so adventurous. She hiked for like years through the Australian desert, the Australian bush, and she's so fearless and amazing. Mike Horn, because I grew up with his book and he's such an amazing explorator. And I would say also my dad in a way, because the more I stay with him, the more I realize how much I do and say things like him, and how much we look like each other on so many points.
From really strong traveler female personas to general explorators, and it's beautiful that your dad also, now you're able to reconnect with him also, that you're back, you're training with him, as you were saying, that was what he was also used to do before. So that's really, really beautiful. I feel like a very beautiful way of growing up, connecting with your parents on a different level, not as like you're my parent, I'm the child, but like, I'm a human being, you're a human being, this is what we enjoy, and this is so cool, we get to do this together. So that's very, very beautiful. But what is your proudest creation so far?
Well, I would say Hitchhiking from Indonesia to France, to be honest, because before I did that, I was like, oh, I haven't done anything in my life, nah, nah, nah. And I feel like this trip that I started without thinking I would be able to do it, it really gave me so much, and I saw so many things, felt so many things, understood so many things. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think this trip changed me, even if it seems so cliche and everything. I think it's true. And for a while, I was like, okay, yeah, this trip it's gonna teach me things, but that's it. No, 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 no. Yeah, I feel like I feel like really different in my head.
And it's also beautiful that it's a strengthening change, that you're at peace. And I feel like it's the most biggest gift you can have in life, especially, if you know how it is to not be at peace with yourself, to just be like, no, like I'm good. What excites you most about your everyday?
Being at peace. But just being in a place that I like, trusting myself enough to be able to move and change my everyday life if I don't like it. What excites me the most, yeah, to enjoy the place I am and know that I can go somewhere else if I don't, I think.
Just the freedom that, you can go and you have yourself and you'll be fine no matter where.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've been in a lot of places and you had yourself
and I was
always.
fine.
Exactly. What is your word for 2025?
Keep listening to myself and keep being kind. I think that's also a thing that I loved about this trip. I think that I became kinder, like more kind on this trip because I understood more. And I think that when you understand, you love more and you are more kind in a way. So yeah, I would say maybe be kind, something like that, to yourself, but also to others and to everyone.
Yes, that's such a beautiful learning. Wow. The fact that, yeah, you just understood more of the world and more of the people and you just became more kind. I think that's a very cool learning from this. But what message would you give to your younger self?
Don't try to change everything because everything that happens is gonna bring you where you want in the end.
That's perfect. Because sometimes in moments things feel rough and confusing or why, but it always works out. It always does.
Yeah,
So
always.
that's amazing. I love this. Okay, and my last question, what message would you like to give?
Never stop exploring. If you haven't done all the big trips or the big things, is because you stopped for someone, probably knowing myself, and that's not good. Don't stop for someone. Keep doing your thing.
Yes, and then people, honestly, and there will be people who will support you on this always
Yeah,
travel thing. There will be people.
yeah, yeah.
So
If you
don't
stop for
stop.
someone, it's because it's not a good someone.
Exactly. If someone makes you stop what you really enjoy doing, it's not the
That's
right
not good.
person.
That's not good. No, that's not the good guy. Yeah, but never stop exploring. Keep doing your thing.
I love this. That's a very beautiful note to end this on. Thank you so much, Cam, for sharing your story, your thoughts, everything. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I hope that everyone that are scared of traveling, this helped them a little bit. And yeah, just go do your thing, trust yourself, even if it's hard too. You'll be fine. And the world is safer than you think. Really.
It is. It truly is. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cam. And this
Thank
was it
you.
for this episode. As always, I'll share all the details for both of us where you can go and follow Cam's journey. And I'll see you in another episode of the Green Tea Bakery. Thank you so much, and bye.